Wrong button. That's the wrong button. I'm gonna go back to black and then I'm gonna hit it again.
Goodbye.
Told you, everybody, the suit fight's got me jacked to the eyeballs. In 3, 2.
Yummy like a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for May 29th, 2024. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, May isn't over, so here's a PlayStation State of Play, and your Steam account dies with you, but that's fine because we're never gonna die. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Lucy James, everybody. Lucy, how are you doing?
Forget about me. How are you doing?
Listen, I'm fine. The thing is, like, I knew it was going to happen in May, so it's like, yeah, here it is. It is like a little frustrating to get all the comments, like, where is it? But also, like, it's despite the persona on Twitter, it's not in my nature necessarily to take victory laps. So I'm going to put it on here a little bit for people because that's what the people want. But it's like, yeah, we've been here before. We'll be here again. That's just how it goes. It's also like, I recognize what this is. Knowing the date for something where you're going to watch a bunch of commercials is very low stakes. Let's be real. Had you not known this news, had I not leaked this thing, your life would be different in no way. It's not that big a deal. So, like getting a confirmation for something where it's like the actual news is going to be inside of it. It's all good fun, kind of is how I view it. It's there's like some back and forth that I have personally about like talking about what's going to be in these showcases. Some people really want to know. Some people actually hate knowing because they're like, I like the surprise. There's sometimes that stuff's newsworthy. Usually my barometer here, Lucy, is I'll talk about this stuff if I feel like it gives like color to like how these companies are thinking right in the moment. And it's like, yeah, Sony wants to talk. They have some stuff to say. Sure, they said all that stuff about not having major first party extensions to their current, like, you know, biggest games, but they have some stuff to announce. And they're like, they probably are going to have that Astrobot game. And now we're hearing a lot more about that. But you know, if it had not happened, yeah, it would have been frustrating. But also, again, it's just not that big a deal to know a date. So we're all having fun here. I'm glad it worked out. And I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what they're going to talk about. I'm not like expecting the world. How about you?
No, me neither. I'm glad they're doing something because the Sony release schedule does look dry.
Looks dry.
Barren, some would say, for the next few months. And the Circana report came out today about even more drops in hardware sales. And so, you know, both everyone kind of needs some video games. So I'm always excited about showcases. We did FPS yesterday, and we were talking about, like, we just miss those big, and I'm not saying that the Sony State of Play or showcase or whatever the hell they're calling it tomorrow is going to be big, but like, I still get excited every time something gets announced because, you know, you're going to get caught up in that wave. So I'm very glad. However, I don't give a shit about any of this because you know why, Jeff?
Why's that?
Tom Bombadil is going to be in Rings of Power season 2.
So I put that in chat earlier, and I'm like, all right, now here's the good news for Lucy. Tom Bombadil.
The first thing I saw when I woke up this morning.
It was waiting for you. They knew. I read the books, and I was like, this Tom Bombadil character, he's great. I can't wait to see him in the movie. And then, of course, I felt cheated. Like, fans of Lord of the Rings do really like love Tom Bombadil, right? Like, that's not like a thing where it's like, oh yeah, we could take him or leave him.
Oh, so Jan just put in your Photoshop. It's very good.
Oh no, okay.
Tom Bombadil is like, he is such a goated character with his hot wife, and he helps out, and he's one of those like weird people in Lord of the Rings who has oh my god, that was the power of Tom Bombadil. What the hell
Tom Bombadil's made you radiant, Lucy.
I feel like Goldberry. Anyway, I'll turn back down. He's just like an incredibly powerful person, and I think every Lord of the Rings fan, Tolkien fan, really likes Tom Bombadil because he is kind of wacky and he sings and does all his little, I don't know, he's kind of got a weird vibe.
Yeah,
like me and
what
my
is his
wife
gimmick?
saw
Like, he is like very powerful, right?
Yeah, but he's, like he's so powerful that he just doesn't really care.
Right, he's operating on another plane of existence from everyone else. Like it's like these are not his problems.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
And if anyone fucking asks me why the Eagles didn't just drop,
because they have bow and arrows, they would shoot them, guys. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking
that,
keep
but
up.
also just like the Eagles didn't really care.
He broke his toe when he kicked the helmet. Everybody, keep up.
He did. The thing is, before they became a meme, that was my go-to piece of trivia.
Well, yeah. What do you do now? What is your like the since that one is obviously everyone knows that one, and you have to like kind of control yourself because you don't want to shout it. I'm sure you still do. I would, but like
still do.
What's like the tier 2 piece of trivia you go to now?
Sean Bean was terrified of the helicopters. So he would hike every morning, and everyone else would literally take a helicopter up. So he would hike dressed
Mr.
in
Bean.
full Boromir costume whenever they would be shooting up in the mountains.
That rules! Oh my god!
Is that one? The guy who put on the Hobbit's feet, his surname was Foot, Foot.
Okay, these are really good. I like this a lot.
Thank you. I'll pep them out throughout the episode.
Oh, wonderful. Fantastic. So we'll get into it here in a second, everybody, but keep your eyes. Once those pop off, collect them all and send them into the Bombcast email, and you won't win anything, but it'll still be very fun. All right, we should explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you were watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with the aforementioned State of Play. Is happening tomorrow. It's going to be a 30-plus minute broadcast at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. They are promising updates on 14 PS5 and PSVR 2 titles, including a look at PlayStation Studios titles arriving later this year. So there will be first-party games in this as well. We already mentioned like expectations aren't super high, but like you said, I'm also excited. I there's always like the possibility, right? And I think having that belief that anything is possible and any game can come out and surprise us and be a really big deal is crucial right now when we're going to get to the next story here in a second about the Circana report. But honestly, if they just come like, here's some solid games and here's Astrobot, and we are biding our time while we work on a bunch of other stuff that we'll probably announce later for next year, I'm also fine with that. I get where we're at in the industry right now and how difficult everything is, and they're not going to be able to solve all of those anxieties with the State of Play. So just have a solid game announcement, really, like 14 games. If they're all pretty decent, I'll be happy. How are you feeling?
I'm the same. At this point, I'm kind of a little more console agnostic. I'm definitely leaning towards PC. I am looking for something to play on my PlayStation right now because like I'm replaying Elden Ring, but I'm not playing it on PlayStation. I'm playing it on PC, right? And so I'm hoping for something to kind of get that, maybe able to turn that PlayStation back on. And also, I'm just like, I'm one of those people who I just get excited every time there are new game announcements. I need to make my new spreadsheet, stuff to look forward to. And I just, the one thing I'm afraid about with this one is because, we know like things like Astrobot have leaked. There's a lot of talk about the Lego Horizon game. They're not necessarily, I mean, I think Astrobot is fantastic, don't get me wrong, and I used to have a lot of fondness for the Lego games, maybe less so for Horizon, I'm sorry, as a franchise, but
we can't help it.
I can't help it. She just talks too much. No shade to Ashley Birch, I think does a great job, but that character just doesn't shut up. Anyway,
did that game ever get a verbosity slider? Did it like? I remember people talking about like, I wish I could turn down how much she helps me on puzzles.
They patched her to speak a little less. Like she would stop saying that things would come to would go in her pack or something. There was that one.
I should have just not said anything. 'Cause now it's like on the internet, me saying, "Hey, is there a way to turn down how much that woman talks?
How much this broad
I should have just let you say everything. I'm sorry, everybody. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, when you played that game at launch and you had too much stuff to fit in your pocket and it would go in your pack, it was a bad time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm excited. I'm glad to see that they're still supporting PSVR 2.
Yeah, that's honestly the biggest surprise so far of all this is there was the Play Days or the PlayStation Plus update earlier this week. They had a lot of PlayStation VR 2 games in there. We do have a PlayStation VR 2 story here in a little bit about its PC support, and now they are just straight up promising games for PlayStation VR 2 in this thing. Where's your expectation levels for that? Because I am like, once I start thinking about it, my imagination runs away with me. I'm like, okay, Half-Life Alyx, that would be great. But I'm like, also, a part of me is like, well, why hasn't that happened yet? That would have happened if it was going to happen. So where are you at?
As someone who did not adopt PSVR 2 and hasn't really kept that on top of it, it does feel like it's in a little bit of a quiet zone. It does need something like a Half-Life Alyx, like a shot in the arm. I would love a new Beat Saber pack. For sure, like something like that. I mean, VR is kind of that. I don't know. I only play Beat Saber. Like, I'm not the person to talk to about VR. Maybe VR functionality coming to another game. Like, it worked really well in Humanity and Tetris Effect and stuff like that.
Those Resident Evil games have all had them. I mean, right now we're not necessarily expecting a Resident Evil announcement at this state of play, because what Dusk Golem said yesterday. I should put that in the news too. But yes, something like it could be as simple as a mode in an existing game or a game that's coming up that's going to have a VR. I mean, Astrobot, for all the rumors and what we've heard is that's going to be a PS5 2D screen game. They could have a VR mode in there, and that could count. Yeah. That could be what they're talking about.
Be really cute just to see the little Astrobots running around.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited for it. I mean, I love that Astrobot game, man.
Me too.
So
there is nothing wrong with it. It's like they did everything right with those games so far, and I'm a huge fan of Playroom, especially. I played a little bit of Rescue Mission. I'm like continually debating with myself about getting the PSVR 1 out, setting it up so I can actually play through all of Rescue Mission, but it's such a hassle. I'm like, there is a chance that I will go the rest of my life and never actually go through with that because it's that much of a hassle to set up the PSVR 1. Yeah. Just like, because you have to like get everything set up perfectly and it's so finicky and it's, you got to like dedicate a little space to it. And I'm like, I don't. Yeah. In a world with the MetaQuest 3 where it's just so easy to hop in there and it just works, it's very difficult to talk myself into that with the PSVR 1. I mean, honestly, what I would really like from this, if we are going to set expectations pretty low for what they're going to announce with PSVR 2 here, if they say, okay, here is 1, 2 new things, and then here's like 5 of the biggest PSVR 1 games all updated to run perfectly on PSVR 2, that would be very exciting to me, especially since I think I'm gonna make Dan send me his PSVR 2 that they sent him.
He's not using it. But also, insane that they don't already work.
Yep. But. Yeah. I mean, I understand all the technical reasons, Lucy, and yet I 100% agree with you. It's insane. They should have just figured that out. Do you think part of this is them like, hey, we have the PSVR 2, we should just be doing something to kind of fill out our schedule, or do you think this is an honest to goodness reinvestment in that platform?
Ooh, I'm not sure. I want to believe that it is a reinvestment in the platform because so many people spent so long working on it and a bunch of people bought it. But like also, you did just shut down London Studio, which predominantly made games for the PSVR systems. So I really hope it is an honest to goodness. Like we're still committed to VR, guys. You didn't waste all that money on paying this headset and then we're not going to release anything for it. But who knows? Corporation's gonna corporation.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
I was gonna say corporate, and I was like, is that a word?
Yeah, incorporate's definitely a word. It's corporate. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Well, I'll mention it here just to like inform like kind of like expectations. There was talk of Resident Evil 9 getting announced this summer. That could have happened here. Now Dusk Golem is saying that he thinks it's very unlikely that Resident Evil 9 will get announced this summer at all now. I believe that Dusk Golem was the original source of that. He says it's moved back and forth. And now it's like, oh, that's probably not going to happen because that game is expected much later in 2025 or maybe early 2026 at this point. And then there is Resident Evil 0 and Code Veronica remakes, which seem to be, those are happening instead of 1 or 5, which is also, there have been rumors about those as well. It's like, no, neither of those are happening at all it is all about Zero and Code Veronica. But it probably would also be a little bit early it'd be quite early for those because Resident Evil 4 was last year. So we would expect a mainline entry next and then them to go back to a remake after that. So probably not anything big from Resident Evil. That said, there is that Silent Hill update, or, they're having the transmission later that day on Thursday as well. Do you think that they could have like a couple other Konami announcements in the state of play, especially updates about Silent Hill? But there's rumors of like Castlevania, things like that. What do you expect?
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's.
Hang on.
Andy over at VGC has been saying that for a couple years now. I don't think we've had any sort of recent rumors about that, but it makes sense, right? Because that's the Castlevania, very successful on Netflix. So when Konami's like looking at like, hey, what do we do when we come back to gaming in a big way? I know they've been making games, everybody. Please stop yelling at me about that. But when they come back to gaming in a real way, Castlevania is one that makes a ton of sense because it's got the brand recognition still. So I'm hopeful that they do something with that. Tell you what, if we get this state of play, Lucy, and it is Astrobot, a couple other things, some third-party stuff, and then an announcement of a Castlevania game, I'll be pretty happy personally. That sounds like a good state of play to me.
It's a good state of play. Yeah, I mean, look, I was looking because Bloober Team said, together with our friends from Konami, we're thrilled to invite you to the Silent Hill transmission. So Bloober Team's working on the Silent Hill 2 remake.
That's correct.
They're not working on anything else Konami related, are they? No.
I don't think so.
Okay, so we get to see some Silent Hill 2 this week. But I mean, if we're talking about games that Konami are making, Metal Gear Solid Delta would be nice. Allegedly coming this year from that blog post from a while ago. Yeah. Would be good to see more of that, but I think that could probably stand alone.
Yeah.
And its own little. I think Sony would have like a proper state of play for that one though. Yep. If it is coming out this year, who knows?
Yep. But things could shift. We'll see. I hope it comes out this year. That'd be great.
Me too. That'd be awesome. I mean, like the second half of the year is shaping up. We've got things like Assassins and Call of Duty and the usual suspects and stuff. I am still waiting for those for more of those games to populate. More of those games that remind me of like 2012.
Yes, I'm right there with you, and I think that takes us into this next story here. April 2024 Circana report. This is the monthly sales report for the United States. Matt Pescatella posted this all to Twitter. Let's get right into it. April 2024 U.S. video game market highlights from Circana. The projected total U.S. spending on video game hardware, content, and accessories fell 3% in April 2024 versus a year ago. That's to $4.1 billion total. A 2% increase in content spending could not offset a 43% drop in hardware and a 4% dip in accessories. Listen, that is the several months in a row now where we've seen massive declines in hardware sales. And we know it's not just Xbox. Obviously, the Switch is at the end of its life, and it's trending downward. But it's also PlayStation. Last month, I think PlayStation was down more than 30% year over year. I'll double check and see what it's like this month. But it seems like across the board, hardware is just not moving anymore. And I think that speaks to a general lack of excitement about what's happening in the console video game space and the video game space in general. There is I think people have settled into the routine of playing the same games for a very long time now. And people are looking at okay, and what's going to be the next big exciting thing? And it's just not coming. And obviously Grand Theft Auto 6 has the potential to be that. But in the meantime, it feels like nothing else is stepping up to the plate and really taking this opportunity on. And I get why. It's very expensive to make something that feels like it could stand out. And even when you do spend that money, there's no guarantee it's going to really work out. I think we saw that with Rebirth, which we'll get into more in a second. But it fell off the sales chart on PlayStation's top 10 best-selling games for this month, and that just came out. So it's it's very easy to have a miss, and it's very hard to capture that excitement. Do you think this is a lull that is going to be long lasting, or do you think that we have a chance to pull out of this nosedive?
Ooh, nosedive. I mean, look, at this point, you can kind of see why both Sony and Microsoft have been so bullish about subscription services to kind of weather these of dips in hardware sales. So I mean, for a casual gamer at this point, Totillo did his in GameFile last week, and he was like, why a bunch of people have not upgraded. They're still on PlayStation 4, they're still on Xbox One. And it's because, yeah, you can still play Fortnite, and a bunch of stuff is still backwards compatible, and they have not felt the need to upgrade to the new systems. There's also the fact that if you're a casual gamer at this point, you probably have some device that plays Fortnite, Roblox. You know, yes, Fortnite's on Unreal 5 now, if you want it to be the shiniest and the quickest it can possibly be, but realistically, that game still runs and looks great on last-gen systems.
Correct.
And current-gen systems as well. Like, and also, you know, we had a couple of years where they were really difficult to buy, and now that is not the case. We're also seeing the world on fire and cost of living crisis, especially like in places like the UK, still unemployment. Like a game console, a new game console is not going to be the first thing that people are going to be buying. They are prioritizing other things right now. And then when it comes to the hardcore gamers, you know, all the above still applies. There has not been as many console selling games this generation. There have not been as many big first party console exclusives as there really needs to have been to kind of maintain this hardware sale, the strong hardware sales. And now we're looking at, you know, last time I was on the show, we talked about this. It was like, I am playing more great games than ever. Yeah. Like, I am drowning in incredible games. Finished Duck Detective. I'm playing Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. I'm replaying Elden Ring. I've got 1,000 times Resist. I've got like all these games queued up. But that's all on PC. They're not like really console sellers. I mean, I'm interested to see how COD on Game Pass works out for them, if that will move the needle at all in terms of subs and in terms of hardware sales. I don't know. I hope it works out for them. It's like hell of a gamble, but yeah, in terms of people buying stuff right now, I really hope that SGF and the reveals will kind of be a shot in the arm.
Me too.
But at the same time, there's also rumors of Switch 2, there's rumors of a new PlayStation, there's rumors of a new Xbox. And so if you're in that hardcore checking GameSpot, Giant Bomb, IGN every day crowd, kind of funny crowd, like you kind of are maybe hedging your bet on a hardware refresh, and maybe you're waiting for that.
Right. And I think that's what we're going to see these companies try to target in the interim is that audience that might be most likely to upgrade to something new. They are going to have a PS5 Pro probably this year. It's like, well, you know, you already have a PS5. Go buy a PS5 Pro, and maybe that recirculates some PS5s out there. But I think the fundamental issue does seem to be there is just this general lack of excitement for the new ideas in gaming. There just haven't been a lot. And it's like, if you are looking for solid, great games, really well-crafted games, they are out there in droves. But the thing that is like, feels like this is the paradigm shifting new experience, you know, it was Elden Ring, and then since then, I mean, Baldur's Gate 3, we definitely had that last year. And now I think we're all looking around like, okay, when is the next one? And it's like, well, for one thing,
Elden Ring DLC.
But it's also like we are relying on these massive games to sort of do this, and they are fewer and farther between. Like, really, when is the next game that's going to feel like Elden Ring? I mean, obviously the DLC is coming, but like the feel like what it did to the industry and what it did to gamers of like, man, this feels impossible. It honestly, the game feels timeless in a lot of ways, because I think we're going to look ahead in 10 years, but like, we didn't get a lot of games that feel like it truly inspired by that, because it's so daunting to make that. And
GTA.
And then it's going to be GTA 6 is going to be really the next thing. So can this industry really work on console when they are waiting like years between these massive tentpoles, and everything else in between is like kind of floundering? It feels like unsustainable in a lot of ways. I don't know. Do you think so?
I just think the overarching narrative for the past couple of years, in particular, as we saw things dip after everyone got into gaming over the pandemic, when during lockdown, it's like the world's changing and things are not the same as they were 10 years ago in the 360. Oh God, it was more than 10 years ago when it was the 360. Yeah, the PS4 came out in 2013. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, it's the world's changing, and our attitudes are towards our media are changing, towards physical media, towards ownership, and like it feels weird. I like it in some regards when it comes to the what's the word I'm looking for? The ease of like just finding something, you
Yep.
know, like booting up and like the cloud and the ease of just having something and being able to download it, right? Versus, oh, I need to find my disk, I need to go plug all this in, oh, I need batteries. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Things are changing. I don't think it's going to go away completely. Both companies, and I mean, we're talking only like Xbox and PlayStation here because Nintendo's fine,
and it's got it figured out, like for what it needs to do. Absolutely.
Yeah. Nintendo is the company which has like their consoles have the unique selling point that no one else can really. I mean, they've tried certainly with like things like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and everything. Like there is the handheld gaming console, but it's not the same as like the Nintendo seal of quality. You're not getting those types of games with those established and beloved IPs released whenever the hell Nintendo wants to release them, right?
Yeah, but it also does feel though like this moment is the kind of moment where, you know, not this exact idea, but the overall concept of the blue ocean strategy of the Wii going after a completely different audience and just hitting really hard because it was so unexpected. It feels like something like that would do very well right now. That just like coming out of nowhere, resetting expectations, not going after a power and fidelity so that games could be a little bit more affordable to make. And yet the experience feels so fresh and new that everyone just can't ignore it. You have to be a part of it. And it feels like Nintendo is not even going to really fill in that gap because they're going to be doing a Switch successor. So, and Sony and Xbox do not seem like they have the chutzpah to go in there and try something like that. So it's like we might just be in this coasting period for quite some time, and it might just only be broken when people kind of wake up from the stupor of, maybe I am done with Fortnite. Maybe I am done with Roblox, and I do want something new. What is there? And they won't be woken up until it's GTA 6. And so, again, I don't know if that's sustainable overall. It feels like they will have to come up with other answers other than that. But in the meantime, I don't think this lasts forever. Like, I know we're in this period where it's like stagnation has come for console gaming, and we look at the most played games on all these consoles. And the top 5 is the same top 5 games it's been for the last at least 5 years, going on much longer than that now. And while that feels like that, well, it's just going to be like that forever now. Fortnite is forever. I think Fortnite in a lot of ways is forever, but I think there is going to be this sort of bubbling undercurrent in the gaming community of, I always want the new and novel thing. When is that going to happen? And while GTA 6 will be so big you can't ignore it, I think there probably will be some surprise in the next couple of years that really changes everything and sort of resets what we expect from gaming. And in the meantime, it really will be kind of grim. I think it'll look like this for a few more years probably. More from Circana. Stellar Blade was the #1 best-selling game of the month. Helldivers 2 was #2. Dan Reichert is awake because he just set off the game scent. Hello, Dan. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was #3, and then Sea of Thieves jumped from 55 up to #4. Fallout 4 jumped from 87 up to #5, and Fallout 76 jumped from 159 up to 8 from last month. And then Grounded, because it was on PlayStation, went from 167 on the list to up to 12. So some bright spots in the software charts, but all these games look pretty rough in comparison to last year, Lucy, where it's like they said content sales was down, or was up 2% or something like that. All of that is from mobile. Then like mobile, it was like grew 24%. Really, when you compare these game sales to last year, it's looking pretty rough still. But hey, new game #1 on the chart, Stellar Blade. That's pretty impressive, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that actually is surprising to me. But
I was a little surprised by that too. Yeah, especially because it's exclusive to PS5. But clearly that game has hit very hard. Let's see here. The best-selling games year to date. Yes, right here. Helldivers 2 is still #1. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and then Dragon's Dogma 2 is #3. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth is actually at #5. So behind Dragon's Dogma 2. Obviously, Dragon's Dogma 2 is multi-platform, and I think this is why Final Fantasy, it's been announced that going forward, they're going back to being multi-platform. You kind of have to be. The exclusive strategy fully didn't work, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would be interested to see what the split would be. between PlayStation and Xbox, but I think PC will definitely
Oh, sure, yes,
make up those numbers.
yeah, and then, I think it's PC is mostly what they're talking about. But being on Xbox at launch wouldn't hurt a game like that in any way. So I would expect that going forward. Like the Persona games do pretty good on Xbox these days. Let's see. Stellar Blade, number 1 for the month. It was number 16 best-selling for year to date. So not like smashing the charts or anything. But still making the top 20 still very impressive. All right. Let's see. Here's some updates on some of these games. Helldivers 2 remains the best-selling premium game of 2024 year to date after placing second in April. Sea of Thieves was the number 4 best-selling game of April following its launch on PlayStation platforms. Let's see. Fallout games also performed strongly in April. This is all from Matt Pescatella, by the way. Following the debut of the Fallout television series, Fallout 4 ranked 5th on the April charts after finishing March at number 87, while Fallout 76 jumped to 159. I think we talked about when all that stuff was happening with the Fallout TV show, Lucy, that, hey, I bet they really wish they had a game to capitalize on all this right now. And I think what this shows is they did. Fallout 4 and to a slightly lesser extent, Fallout 76, both were there and did exactly what they would have wanted. And maybe a Fallout 5 that was like, came out last year would have done even better than all of that. But I think we're at a period where people don't feel the age of games the way they once did, and Fallout 4 was perfectly acceptable to many of them, it seems like. I don't know. Does that seem right to you?
Yeah, I don't know. It feels kind of weird for me to go back to, like, when we played 76, I was like, oh, I don't know. This feels like a kind of older game. But yeah, I guess, like, the Fallout show really succeeded at, making that world an inviting, quote unquote, place and like make it wacky and people want to explore more of it. And so I can totally understand just like picking up Fallout 4 and just getting lost in that world. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I mean, also very intrigued to see what a modern quote unquote Bethesda game is going to be at this point, because Starfield was very much in their normal wheelhouse.
Yeah, and I think I get the sense that they knew that Starfield wasn't going to be the answer, because there was those rumors before Starfield came out that they were remaking Oblivion, I think, and they were going to do that they're going to take their engine and they were going to apply Unreal visuals on top of their engine. And it's like, that sounds like a pretty good idea for a new game too, where I'm totally happy to have everything still work the way it does in these games. I like the interactivity. I like being able to pick up everything. The games look really stiff. I think Starfield looked really sort of drab in a lot of ways. And it's like, if you can get the visuals upgraded, that's a good start. And that's like a good sort of way to like go into the new games and make them feel significantly more modern in a lot of ways. Let's see here. With the hardware, April video game hardware spending fell 43% when compared to a year ago to 208 million. All current console hardware platforms fell a minimum of 26% year on year, with Switch showing the strongest year-on-year decline. It was down 69%. Unnice.
Nice. Well, not nice.
Negative 69%. So, yeah, the reverse of nice. I mean, what do you think like really breaks this spell on hardware spending? Is it time for a price drop on some of these things?
Yeah.
Feels like that's it feels like that's what it is. I think that's happening in a lot of industries. I think the prediction is like a car costs, the price of a car is going to drop like 50% here in the coming years.
Jesus.
It's like they went up significantly over like the pandemic and since then, clearly. But it's like there's going to be a massive correction. And I think McDonald's is talking about lowering prices. Walmart and Target.
McDonald's has the
Ultra
menu
value or something
for like a month. Target is realizing that people are not shopping there because all the prices are too expensive, so they're going to reduce all those costs too. I mean, hey, I'm not going to complain if things are getting slashed in price. Yeah. However, we are now in the enshittification era where everything is worse and more expensive.
Yes, and these companies have done everything in their power to keep these prices high as long as they can, and to like they've tried to like memory hole the idea of console discounts or permanent price decreases. Like, they were cutting the price of the PS5 to try to sell a lot of them last year. They did do that, but like you do look at like Nintendo, and like it's like no, I think they would rather just keep the price high, let the Switch fall off so that they can have that comparison. So when they launch the new Switch, they can charge even more for that and be like, well, if you want a cheaper one, there's the old Switch, and that's still at $300. And so I feel like these companies are going to it'd be a very difficult thing for them to reverse that mentality now at this point. So,
well, how do you explain that to your shareholders?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, it would sell more, and we need to sell more consoles to sell more software. But it's like, no, we like those margins way better. Please don't do that.
I was thinking back yesterday because I got a sheet of kitchen towel. And when I was a kid, the adverts for kitchen towel would say how reusable they were. And now we're in a world where everything is shit and you can barely use a sheet of kitchen towel for anything. And I'm like, yeah, wow, perfect allegory for the times we live in.
I mean, it's at a certain point, trying to get as much money from someone while spending the least amount of money to make something, it's going to hit a wall. And it feels like we're there kind of across the board. So yeah, the enshittification is fully upon us. Finally, and I always like to point this out as like a good bellwether. By the way, we're live at the Bellwether, June 9th. Get your tickets. Brad Shoemaker's going to be there, everybody. Tickets available now. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I'm really glad he's going to come hang out with us. Yes, tickets available now, Ticketmaster.com. But I like to use this as a bellwether of accessory spending. Is it up? Is it down? Because when people buy accessories, I think they're indicating that they are going to be spending a lot of time and money on video games going forward in the next months. Like, I buy a headset because that's what I'm doing. I'm looking forward to like just sitting down and playing my games. Accessory spending did fall 4% year over year when compared to a year ago. And that was driven by a 9% year on year decline in gamepad spending. So it's like people are buying fewer controllers specifically. And then I think a lot of that is just, if people are anticipating being like spending less time on games, they're just less worried about having a new shiny controller. It feels nice. That said, PlayStation Portal is the best-selling accessory so far this year and was also #1 in April. Overall, Matt Piscatello's takeaways is that the hardware decline this year is much steeper than he was expecting. And while we knew that content was going to have a tough comparison to last year, it was like very stark, the comparison to last year. And then meanwhile, mobile games like Monopoly Go continue to sort of drive all the spending. So if you're wondering where all the money's going and how the industry is still up 4%, it's because of stuff like that, which is really does not get spread around all that much. It feels like, and he says it here, meh. Feels like the whole industry is very meh right now.
Survive till 25.
Survive to 25. And I hope, like you said this earlier, I hope we get to Summer Game Fest and we're all just feeling a lot better because a lot of cool stuff gets announced. And that's likely. That's a possibility. And I hope that's what happens.
I've got cool appointments. I'm just going to say that.
Exactly.
I'm excited for what I'm going to see.
There's stuff there that I'm very happy to see. And I hope that all pans out exactly how we hope. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, a lot more headlines to get to. We'll do all that right after this. All right, we are back. Let's get right into it. Xbox has reportedly signed the first game from Rocksteady co-founder's new studio. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Xbox Game Studios has reportedly signed the next game from Rocksteady co-founders Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker. That's according to Xputer, which claims that London-based 100 Star Games is working on a AAA single-player action-adventure title powered by Unreal Engine 5. Microsoft is said to be financing the project, which can initially be expected to be released for Xbox consoles and PC. While the studio is yet to be officially announced, it emerged in January that Hill and Walker were listed as directors of the company on business information website Indole. I don't know how to say that.
I have never heard of that website.
Me neither. Okay. I guess I take this two ways. One, sure, we'll see that game in 50 years. Who knows how long it would take.
Get the Man-Bat game.
Well, yes, the Man-Bat game is finally here, everybody. I can't wait. And then my other thing is, okay, so Microsoft is still like making big like financing deals with external developers while closing internal studios that could also make games for them. It's like that's frustrating in and of itself. But it's like this doesn't feel like Xbox throwing in the towel. It feels confused. I don't know. How do you take this?
Yeah, it feels weird, but at the same, like, it's it's good to see that there is some investment going on in the
Agreed.
video game space. It sucks that it is on the heels of Xbox shuttering completely, some of their great studios who've worked on incredible projects. You got to wonder as well, there are things like grants that if you are a British-based developer, I think that's like if you make a game set in the UK or if you have British protagonists or like there's some kind of level, I'm pretty sure you get like pretty decent tax breaks and stuff.
Cultural
too.
hegemony. Yeah, you got to push that forward. Yeah.
Obviously, Sefton and Jamie have incredible pedigree with taking the Arkham games and making them as great as they were. They also left, but no, as great as they are still great games. But then obviously leaving before.
Yeah, Suicide Squad. Yeah.
Well, Suicide Squad to make something new. You got to wonder if they wanted to get out from under Warner Brothers. I imagine working on a licensed game and series will be a fucking nightmare.
And that's what I always heard about like Warner Brothers, especially in that time, is like there was all that talk about, hey, Warner Brothers is going to sell its gaming division, and it's like, is it not? And everyone who worked under that hated the uncertainty, and so I don't blame them for getting out of that, especially because they could start their own studio and could command a significant investment from someone like an Xbox. It's weird because it's like, okay, if you were making this huge investment in this external company, you would want that to be an exclusive game, but even their own first party games aren't necessarily going to be first party or exclusive going forward. I don't know. How does that change the factors at all? Do you think it does?
What, not being exclusive?
I mean, just like we don't know how dedicated Microsoft is to having Xbox exclusive games.
Oh, going forward.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't either.
I think that's the thing. Part of it is because I've become, not to be like, I'm better than you, but I have really become, I have become less interested in aligning with one of the big companies. Like, I can be an Xbox fan, I can be a PlayStation fan, I can be a Nintendo fan, I can be a PC fan. I am all of the above, and I'm not looking for any of them to fail. And so the multi-platform thing doesn't bother me personally in how I play, because for me, it's choice. But that's because I'm incredibly privileged enough to have access to everything, right? If you only have a PlayStation or you only have an Xbox, it's a different equation. When it comes to Xbox then investing in new games, and then it's like, I can only really see that as a positive, especially as they're in this age of multi-platform. It means like, they're gonna put up the money and everyone else gets to enjoy it.
Right. I think that's a good point. When you started like explaining that, that's what it ended up feeling like to me, is that regardless of their strategy, if they're still making big investments and big bets on big games, that's a good thing. That is what I want. If you're going to be a massive company with a lot of money, the least you could do is fund some video games. I don't have a lot of faith in these massive corporations being able to do too much that interests me across the board for the most part. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't try. And if you have all that money, put it into something and give someone a chance to make something. I wish you would have also done that with Arcane and all the studios you closed down. But whatever. If going forward, that doesn't mean we'll close the purse strings and never fund another thing again. Yeah. And even if you're going multi-platform, whatever, if this is still what you feel is the best way to make money going forward by making big video games, I see that as a good thing overall.
Yep.
Up next, Sony pulls Neil Druckmann interview citing significant errors, and they're all looking for the guy who did this. This is from Stephen T. Wright at GameSpot. Recently, in an interview with Naughty Dog's co-president and The Last of Us co-creator, Neil Druckmann made waves on social media with some of Druckmann's apparent comments about AI and other topics drawing polarized reactions. Now, Sony has removed the interview entirely, stating that the company found, quote, several significant errors and inaccuracies that don't represent his perspective and values. The interview contains several statements that were circulated widely on social media, including one about AI expanding creative possibilities, and another where Druckmann reportedly said that Naughty Dog's next project could redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming. However, Druckmann later went on social media to clarify that the interview did not accurately report the actual words he said, even providing his own direct transcription to show that it did not match up. Sony pulled the interview less than a week later, offering a statement which reads in part, "In re-reviewing our recent interview with Naughty Dog's Neil Druckmann, we have found several significant errors and inaccuracies that don't represent his perspectives and values, including topics such as animation, writing, technology, AI, and future projects. Sony further apologized to Druckmann for misrepresenting his words. A couple things here, Lucy. This is the thing where these corporations are interviewing their own employees, and then they usually do that because they have this agenda of we're going to promote something, or we're going to like pop up something and like really make it like support it with one of our key creators and make it feel important. And the person is there to be used by the corporation to meet their ends. And that feels like that's exactly what happened here. And most of the time, I think this is the sort of thing where, we never would have been the wiser, but Neil Druckmann has a big enough name that he could go on social media and feel comfortable saying, hey, here's what I actually said. The company I work for lied or made a big mistake at the very least. But I don't think we should be too shocked that this is probably a pretty normal thing. These companies just say, hey, we're trying to say this. Can you give us a quote to help fill it out? And then they take the quote and do whatever they want to it because they're not journalists.
Clearly.
Yeah. It's a bad trend, right?
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, so the thing is that I was in LA when this was happening. This also happened, I think, the same day as Stephen Merchant, who co-creator of The Office, big tall man, friends with Ricky Gervais, that guy, if you
sure,
that guy,
yes,
he was going viral because he said something about cancel culture, and I saw the headlines and I was like, oh geez, this guy sounds like a real piece of shit. And then I went and I was like, oh, I wonder what the full quote was, because the Daily Mail, of course it was, misrepresented it as that was the whole quote. And then I went and read the Guardian article and I was like, oh, this is actually a very nuanced take on how comedy needs to evolve, etc. It was really, I recommend reading that interview. Anyway, then this happened and I was like, surely it couldn't happen twice in one day.
Yep.
And then so I saw everyone going absolutely nuts. Like, I also read that quote and I was like, doesn't sound like something someone in Neil's position would say.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds insane.
Yes, it does.
And it was insane, and it turns out it was a complete fabrication. So it was like, it's one of those things where it's like, don't believe everything you hear, but also make sure that you have an actual journalist who's going to correctly represent what the interviewee is saying. Right.
I mean, we are obligated to do that. That these corporations just are not. They have completely different obligations. So it's the kind of thing where it's like, this happens because it's possible for it to happen. And then the company backtracking is the rare thing here, that like they actually did that and apologized to Neil Druckmann.
And that's the thing. You have to wonder how many people this has happened to that have not received the apology, that have not had the retraction of the article.
Right.
And it's like, I hope that this starts a trend where people do feel confident enough to speak, but I don't think that is. Like, Neil Druckmann is in such an incredible position because, hey, he's the co-president of Naughty Dog. He co-created The Last of Us, the game and the TV series that makes a ton of money, is very popular, wins Emmys, whatever. Random Jane developer, who gets misquoted in an article and then gets a hate mob sent after them, is not going to feel as comfortable protecting themselves and, you know, kind of issuing a statement. And so it's like, what are we doing here?
The thing I remember most about Stephen Merchant is some HBO show, and he was on a date and had a woman over to his house because he was going to make her dinner, and he had a big poo that clogged his toilet. And so
the woman did.
No, I think he did. And his solution was, he was like, hey, this happened. This is so embarrassing. And then he like goes in his kitchen and he gets a whisk. And he's going to go whisk the poo to help it go down the toilet. And he's like, this is just what men do. And she's terrified and just leaves while he's going to do that because he had just made her dinner, of course. Maybe with that whisk. That's a funny guy. That's a funny guy there.
I always used to like the bit in his stand-up because he's so tall that he was in a nightclub or something and he realized that people would keep congregating around him and he thought he was getting recognized, but he was just so tall that people were using him as a mobile meeting spot.
That's using big tall people as
we did that literally at PAX.
The big hat guy.
Doug Dimmadome.
That was very good stuff. All right, let's get through these last couple of stories before we run out of time. PlayStation VR 2 PC adapter has been spotted. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. An adapter which would allow the PS VR 2 to work with PC has been spotted by on a Korean certification website. Spotted by Brad Lynch. A filing on Korea's Nation Radio Research Agency refers to a PSVR 2 PC adapter, which has been submitted by Sony Interactive. Hey, this is a big step towards getting that thing to work on PC. An adapter basically would be required. I don't think a generic USB-C like video decoder adapter would work. There's a lot more happening there in that USB-C cable that connects the PSVR 2 to the PS5. But yeah, this is good news. It's specifically because it's going to have to be plugged into your GPU. So it seems like that'll be how it works. And once that happens, this headset should probably just work with Steam VR.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing. Like if they announce that tomorrow,
right, that
would be cool. Like, hey, here's all these PSVR 2 games that are coming. Dan Reichert just dropped in the chat that he met Stephen Merchant at WrestleMania.
That is,
of course he did.
Of course he did. Yes.
Again.
It's a 404 when you post the.
Oh my god, the new one works.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Aww.
There you go.
It's a nice little picture.
That's great. Oh man, he's not that much taller than Dan Reichert. Like he's like hunching down for him, isn't he? There he is. Yeah.
He's kneeling.
Yeah, he's kneeling. That makes more sense. Microsoft canceled Killer Instinct tournament so people wouldn't think a sequel was coming. This is from Jonas Mackey at Game Reactor. Tournament organizer Connor Kelly took an opportunity yesterday to tell a really strange story on Twitter about a fighting event. He was working for Microsoft-owned Start.gg and kicked off work on a fancy Killer Instinct tournament, which had a $1,500 prize pool. It was a success from the start, and many people wanted to participate. But everyone wasn't quite happy with it. Microsoft didn't like the idea at all. And according to Kelly, they specifically asked that he would never run a big Killer Instinct competition again. Why, you might ask? Well, Microsoft was afraid that people would interpret it to say a new Killer Instinct was coming.
Come on.
Kind of a bad reason to do things. Also,
that's a shit reason for doing things, especially if you are as into game preservation and supporting your communities as you say you are.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You kind of have to not worry about how people are going to view things. You kind of have to just do what's best for your community, do what's best for these games. And I know they want to make a new Killer Instinct, and the trouble is they can't. I think for a while there, I don't know what the latest is on it, but for a while there, like a year plus ago, it was can't find a developer to work on it. Everyone's busy, and it's like who knows if that's changed. But that was like, hey, they want to make a new one of those. Waiting until all that stuff falls into place to support Killer Instinct, a game that is beloved by its community. It's a bad form.
Mm. Oh, Sean says this was going to be a sequel to a tournament they did with Sajam that was very successful.
Right. Yep. So. And Sean, one of the bigger Killer Instinct fans out there as well. So sorry, bud. Sorry that this has happened.
Sorry that they specifically targeted you.
Yep. All right. Let's see here. Amazon secures open world driving game from former Forza Horizon devs. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Amazon Games has announced a publishing deal with Maverick Games for a new driving game from former Forza Horizon developers. The unannounced game would be a narrative-led, open-world driving game for PC, PS5, and Xbox. Maverick Games was founded in 2022 by several of the core team behind the critically acclaimed open-world racing game series Forza Horizon, including studio head and creative director Mike Brown, former creative director of the Forza Horizon franchise.
Please don't bury the lead here. The game will be written by Jamie Brittian, co-creator of the show Skins.
Is Skins the one that was like the teens learning about like their sexuality and stuff?
Yeah, it was Dev Patel. It was Nicholas Hoult. It was Gilly
this?
For like 2007.
Would I have seen it on MTV? Maybe. No.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look this up.
I mean, Skins was like, oh, God, I
saw the US version. Okay, thank you, Michael O'Leary.
God,
okay.
No.
Well, I apologize, but I thought that show was very good. I'll watch the real one. I'm sorry, I failed you.
I don't know how OG is gonna hold up because at the time it was all about like 16-year-olds shagging, drinking, doing drugs. There was like eating disorder plot lines,
Sure.
and I wonder how it will have aged. But it was like if you're talking about a water cooler moment, being a teenager during when Skins came out, and like the time of indie sleaze, Skins was not just a TV show, it was like aspirational, which is kind of messed up when you think about it, but everyone watched Skins.
Yeah. Okay. My memory of the American Skins was it had this sort of almost after school special aura about it, and this one does. Oh no, this one does not seem that at all.
No, the UK one was like, I'm amazed they got away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like they did the thing where it was like teenage actors, but it were legal of age. But yeah, some of the shit in that show was. 2011.
Let me look at this.
Is that the American version?
That's the American version. Let me see. Undressed. I'm like just very curious. This one saying I'm maybe thinking of that. That one seems too early. 1999. I suppose that could be it. I would have to. I'm gonna investigate on my own time, everybody, and I'll let you know what I find. I'm curious. I'm like, I have like a memory of these people being like, oh man, we're gonna learn what STIs are and what our buttholes are for. I'm like, oh, okay. Cool, MTV. Last thing here, your Steam library dies with you. This is from Blair Marnell at GameSpot. Modern gamers who have fully embraced digital gaming may believe that the titles they've purchased will belong to them in perpetuity. But if anyone is hoping to pass on their Steam backlog to their next of kin, it turns out that Valve doesn't allow the rights to be transferred. In other words, your Steam library dies with you. This was like, there was like some like back and forth here about, hey, Valve will like determine this once and for all. And of course they landed on this side of things. I remember, I think Bruce Willis sued Apple because he like had bought like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of music on iTunes. And he's like, I want to give this library to my kids when I die. And they're like, well, we're not going to let you do that. My question is, Lucy, what if I just like gave my kids my password and didn't tell anybody that I died? Not that I can die, but what do you think anyone would notice?
No, I that's the thing. That's what I don't understand. I also don't understand why this has become such a big deal now. I think Chris Pratt
41.
like find this out.
So death is imminent, No, but
it's like, yeah, Chris Pratt did this 6 years ago on Eurogamer. So like that's why when this started popping up again, I was like, why is this popping up? Anyway, how are they gonna know that you've given your password to someone else? Like eventually credit cards and whatever expire. You have to change your credit card when that happens. So it's like you can change the email address associated to it.
Yeah, you definitely can. I believe you should be able to do that. And I don't know. I feel like this is the kind of thing where it's like they just legally say this because maybe it would change the contracts that they have with the companies that put their games out on Steam, but they're not going to actually enforce it. Like this is sort of like a wink, wink. Don't tell anybody that you died, and if someone still uses your Steam account, we're not going to do shit about it. I hope that's actually where this is ending up. And my real hope is, no, you should be able. You should be able to pass these things on to your kids. You should be able to. You spend all that money. It belongs to you. You should be able to give it to people. Especially because
my niece's inheritance. I mean,
right, and this stuff did replace physical games where you could do that with those. So let's just have the same rights here as we did with that. There's no reason to sort of like have fewer rights, even though we definitely have fewer rights with this stuff than we used to.
Yeah.
All right, that does it for the news. I'm gonna get the poll question set up while I do that. Lucy, why don't you tell people what you have going on? You were traveling a lot. Could they see the fruits of those labors anywhere? All that kind of good stuff.
You know what? Hang on, I'm checking because I think this was made public. Yes, hang on.
She's checking, everybody.
I'm checking. Also, Remedy updated their Twitter account.
Yeah, it's a Poison Pill Productions or something like that. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, someone wrote it up. Thank you for writing it up. Basically, I'm working on a new show where I'm interviewing celebrities about their gaming libraries.
Oh, that's fun.
And that's why I have been in LA like all the time, maybe once or twice a week for the last month.
That's fantastic.
So guys, I got to interview Dominic Monaghan.
Oh, no way. Really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. You know who's also a gamer? And I know you probably may, I'm sure you have a list, but Kieran Culkin, I would love to have.
We tried.
Okay. Of course.
He was on, he was on the hit list. So the thing is that like a bunch of celebrities are obviously like filming and stuff over the summer, but we have got some really amazing guests like Aisha Tyler. Oh my God, a delight. I'm talking to Steve-O next week.
Oh, that's fun.
Johnny from Health, finally, with the From Software tattoo. And it's been a really fun show to work on. It's coming out after Summer Game Fest, so obviously the big thing that we're working on right now is Summer Game Fest. But I'm stoked.
Yeah. By the way, sorry, Dan called dibs on Kieran Culkin, which you could do. You could call dibs on a person.
You won't have to wear a wig to look like me and maybe cover the beard and get some kind of British accent.
Yeah, just ask him to be a voicemail dump truck. We'll do that. That'll be fun.
Yeah. But no, it's been a really fun show to work on, and it's very different from a usual kind of celebrity junket interview thing because it's like we specifically picked people who are actual gamers and having really fun conversations about like that aren't just, hey, tell me 5 truth or dare about your characters, like that's what celebrity interviews a lot of the time are now, right?
Of course.
And so it's nice and it's cool to see like a different side of the celebs.
I was Lucy, I was going to try to help you out. I was like, who's that politician that plays games? I remember that being a big deal. I was thinking of Kevin Spacey from the Netflix show House of Cards. So one, don't talk to Kevin Spacey. Vita? Second, he's fictional. He's not real. So that wasn't help at all. That was actually bad, and I shouldn't have done that.
Is that a PS Vita? I should get one for the car.
Kevin Spacey in House of Cards, you weirdo.
I didn't realize that's where the Dun Dun came from.
Wait, what's that? The what now?
You know the Netflix Dun Dun.
Oh yeah.
Ta-dun.
Oh yeah.
That is him. Because he would rap his knuckles on the desk, right? That was the thing in House of Cards. Which was their first whatchamacallit, the first Netflix original. One of the first.
It was one of the first. Yeah, there was some stuff they like licensed from other countries first. I remember I watched the very first one was with what's his name from the E Street Band, the guy that was in The Sopranos. There was a plot where he like went to Norway and like continued his gangster activity there in the witness protection program. It was really good. Yes, so Lilyhammer, thank you, chat.
Lilyhammer. Wait, so I'm assuming that was not an official Sopranos.
No, definitely not. But I like it a lot. But you could tell it's like it was a different era of Netflix originals where it was a co-production with another country and stuff like that. Fine. But still a lot of fun.
House of Cards was a British show.
Yeah, that's what. Then they do a lot of that stuff. Okay, so it's pretty similar then. Do you think going multi-platform will be enough? Which one of these? Let's see. I'm gonna go with yes. It'll be enough. All right. Do you think going back to multi-platform will be enough for Final Fantasy? 61% say yes, 39% say no. I think it'll be like, the definition of enough. I think they're looking for more than just enough. So I imagine when they come back with a Final Fantasy 17, they're going to have some like real strong ideas about how to make this feel like a can't miss game. And it will look more like what has happened recently with Yakuza and Persona. I think they'll try to like make Final Fantasy sort of feel like that going forward. All right. New poll question. Are you excited for the PlayStation State of Play? Yes or no? I need your answers. We'll talk about it tomorrow, and it'll still be relevant because the State of Play, I almost called it a showcase. It's not a showcase, everybody. The State of Play is happening tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll talk over it. We'll find a way to make that happen. Yeah, that should be all good.
I'm going to be on a plane. I'm sorry.
Apology accepted. I understand. You got to go talk to more Dominic Monaghan's. That's.
No, I'm talking to Rahul Kohli tomorrow.
Oh, incredible! Very fun. God, I have such a man crush on him. I'll
tell him.
Please do. Tell him 100% tell him I said that. Also, Dominic Monaghan. That's a Hobbit. You must have been marking out.
Well, the thing is that he had to ring me to get in. And I tell you what, I was not anticipating answering my phone and hearing, "Hello, Lucy, it's Dominic Monaghan here."
that must have been a moment. Like, I'm happy for you, Lucy. That's great.
Thank you.
All right. We will have the results of this poll on the show tomorrow here on Giant Bomb. Speaking of Giant Bomb, I guess later today I'm playing Daikatana. I tell you, it's the highs and the lows over here on Jeff Grubb's life. You know, it's May, there's a state of play, and then I got to go play Daikatana.
The thing is we can't let you soar too much. You have to be
reined in.
You got to be pulled back. You got to remember where you came from.
I got to be stomped down in the dirt a little bit. I completely agree, Lucy James Games.
Keep you humble.
Keep me humble, everybody. And that will definitely happen with Daikatana. I promise to make some proggies, but not a lot, everybody. We'll see. That'll be at 3 p.m. Eastern today. Look out for that. In the meantime, Lucy, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me.
Anytime. Thank you all for watching. You're the best audience in gaming. And until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. And never doubt me again, you children.
Come see us in LA.
Come see us in LA.